So here we are back with Smart Scouting with SkillCorner, our short video series focusing on the process of finding different player profiles within a specific position group. This time, for episode 3, we are going for midfielders, and we are actually looking at two kind of complementary players. A number 6, acting as a bridge between defense and attack, specifically in possession, and a dynamic box-to-box midfielders. To do so, we will be actually looking at different elements. The technical one, so for example, the ability to break lines on the ball through passing. The tactical one, specifically off-ball movement, physicality, high-intensity distance, sprinting distance, explosiveness, and so on. And contextual information. This is really important because it allows us to actually understand how we are manipulating the opposition. So for example, breaking the first, second last line or last line of pressure, as well as giving us specific information on phases of play. So what happens in each of them and why. Again, we are going to define these profiles through football-specific terms and behaviors, and we will be finding the metrics that help us evaluate and measure all of these behaviors. So the number 6 midfielders, for example, is the team playmaker. He's constantly opening passing lines and receiving in build-up, often beyond the first pressure and inside the opposition defensive shape. He's key in breaking the opposition midfield by passing, so again, line-breaking passing, and out of possession is probably not the most engaged guy when it comes to direct regains, but he's really clever in slowing the attacking side down and actually helping the team reorganize. So how do we actually measure all of this? Again, we can do so, for example, by looking at overall passing options in build-up in a specific phase of play, possessions in build-up as well, and maybe we can actually look at passing option through the first line. So again, contextual information. We are willing to break the first line of pressure through positioning inside the defensive shape and not around. So of course, on the ball, he actually attempts passes for the second last line, which usually is the midfield. And again, he's really kind of able to reduce the opposition possession danger and help the team. The box-to-box midfielder, on the other hand, is by definition a dynamic midfielder who covers all the pitch from build-up to the final third, is able to carry the ball forward to progress quickly and out of possession differently from the number 6, is actually really engaged in direct duels. How do we measure? Let's go. High intensity distance, of course. Possessions in both build up and finish, so specific phases of play, because we want a player who is actually there all over the pitch. On the ball, is able sometimes, often, to carry at speed to actually help us progress, and is really, again, engaged when it comes to defensive actions. So we are going to see how to compare this specific type of players in our web app lab in a second. Here we are in SkillCorner's web app lab, where we are going to replicate the process to find and compare our number 6 and our box-to-box midfielder. We are in the player scouting area, of course. We are selecting the season 24-25, the last season in our sample competitions of the Big 5 leagues. So we're actually going for the player comparison as a scouting tool today, exactly because we want to compare directly two quite different players. Position midfielders, of course, from all teams participating in the Big 5 with no age limit. So we have selected Billy Gilmour from Napoli and Artur Atta from Udinese. Billy Gilmour is more related to our number 6 profile, while Artur Atta is more of a box-to-box midfielder. Here in the section below, we can actually select all the different metrics that we want to use to compare our players, and we go from physical metrics like high intensity distance, metrics related to the different phases of play, and so on. We have obviously selected the matrix that we used before to actually build our profiles. So the first way to compare players is the bar chart. We actually have percentile ranking for each metric. So percentile ranking calculated on the whole midfielders participating in the Big 5. And we can see that, for example, Billy Gilmour and Artur Atta are quite different, where one excels, the other one is less effective. And we are talking about high intensity distance, possessions, and all the different metrics that we have actually selected before. So here again, we have all the metrics that we can actually think of that are within the SkillCorner's web app lab, and we can actually select a different way of comparing players, which is other than a simple table, the radar chart. So by selecting the radar chart, we actually open two different and distinct radar charts related to each different player. And by combining them, we get a single radar chart that actually directly compares the two players. Classic recap to close episode 3 of Smarter Scouting with SkillCorner focused on midfielders, and as always, we are going through what we have just done together. So we have actually been able to compare two selected players out of a really big population. We have defined a number 6 and a box-to-box midfielder profile useful to understand fit with our game modeler for our scouting and recruitment processes. Again, completely no code, in a few clicks, accessible from day one when you join SkillCorner. And obviously, we have, as always, went beyond what happens on the ball to address tactical, technical, and physical needs. So thanks again for your attention, and I hope to see you in episode 4.